Hello, fellow AFL enjoyers. It's Matsa here with the Supercoach video, and this week we did all right. To be honest with you, a 2189 isn't a calamity. Top 6%, cool. I'm not going to be too concerned with that, but obviously it's something that we need to improve upon. So let's look into the team now. We'll start with the defense, and defense largely is a positive. Because Whitfield and Zorko did exactly what I expected of them, and they scored well. Sheasel, that's the lower end of what we're expecting, and hopefully this is the lower end of what we're expecting from Roberts as well. Now, the only concern I have with Zorko is that he got his points from goals and going forward, so that's not ideal, especially with Kai Lohman being out for 1 or 2 weeks. Are they just going to move him? Are they just going to move him to take that role, for 1 or 2 weeks? Versatility is all the rage in footy these days, and I just don't want versatility with my boys. I want them to be stuck in their role. In saying that, who knows? Maybe he does okay in that role, and we can hold on to him for a little bit, and maybe he gets DPP forward. But look, it's not what I want, but it is what it is. Anyway, Pryor and Reed, Patton and Trainer, those dudes, they're all spuds, right? They're all spuds. Now, Pryor could get dropped. It wouldn't surprise me, because he was, having watched the game, he was poor defensively, but the kicking wasn't too bad, And look, in saying that he was poor defensively, I feel like Essendon their defenders were very isolated against these Hawthorn counterattacks, and the midfielders, the small forwards that Hawthorn has, Nick Watson, Dylan Moore, Connor McDonald, they're such mercurial players when it comes to scoring, and, they really put pressure on, defenses. So, bit harsh, might be harsh to drop him this week, but, it could go either way. Reed, he'll stay in there because they need size. Patton, he was subbed, and he could be on the chopping block for me this week, especially. If he gets dropped, he's 100% on the chopping block. If he stays another round, we might have to keep him just so we can, bank a little bit of cash. But anyway, and Trainer, they're going to persist with him, Richmond, so, he can stay on the bench. Now, the midfield, Rosie, fantastic. Chera, solid. Chera apparently is training with the defenders, which is really concerning. Because unless he's getting the kick-in role, this is not what we paid for. This is not what we paid for 40 for. We wanted a midfielder. We wanted high CBAs and the Chera of old, bald Chera, as some call him. And then the rest, look, Will Day, got tagged, unfortunately. This week, he shouldn't get tagged against Carlton. Hopefully he gets a 120, 130, bounces back. Oliver, everyone's got him, so I'm not too concerned. But Ashcroft, the last-minute change, I did Finn Callaghan to Ashcroft. And the reason I did it is because Callaghan was going to have a bye this week, and Ashcroft's first bye, I think, is round 16. So he's got the last, very, very last bye round. So I thought here's an opportunity to bank some points. Plus, Ashcroft has a good, he has a good draw as well. So if we have a quick look, West Coast, Geelong, Richmond, Bulldogs, Collingwood, Saints. It's a decent run. Like, even, we know Collingwood and Geelong are good teams, but usually they give up points to mids. It didn't happen in the first round for Freo, but still. Look, so anyway, there's the mid. Tsardas and O'Sullivan, not ideal, 50s. I VC'd Tom DeConning, but I didn't want to do the loop situation. I'd rather just have playing rookies and get that money up. Sherry as captain is fine. 122 in the end, not completely ideal, but, because it's, about 40 points lost, or however, whatever the maths ends up being for, having TDK captain. And the forward line, I'm happy with Horn Francis, not happy, but, everyone has him. Rankin, I've been talking about him all preseason. He looked the goods, couple goals. I'm curious to see what his CBAs were in the end for game one. 37, so not as much as I would have expected. But look, if he's scoring goals, then he's still going to stay up there. That's a little bit concerning for me though, because I was hoping for 50, 60%, but you know, Matt Crouch is hogging. And look, at least Saligo's getting him, who I have in draft, so that's cool. Yeah, McRae, never in doubt. Daniel, a bit of a tough first game for him for North. A couple mistakes. I feel like we weren't getting the rub of the green much, in those in our defensive 50, giving a lot of free kicks away and a lot of bad kicks. And so look, he should be all right. Davidson, that's annoying. Should have been Kako instead. Never, it was great. But look, the player that I really want out is Sanders because he kicked 2 goals. We'll go to CBAs. What was it? So 42% CBAs, gets 2 goals and pops a 64. So the scoring potential, I can't see it being there. And obviously, the Bulldogs have prioritized Libba, English, and Matt Kennedy's getting a role in there. Fraser's getting a bit of a role in there. So it's just, yeah, he's got to go, man. He's got to go. So that's the first player out. Now, there's a few options that I'm considering. And it's all with just 2 trades. I don't plan to boost this week. So option A is, atone for my sins and get Baz in the team. Now, if I get rid of Sardis, I can't afford Lindsay as that downgrade, which is the guy who I'd want the most, or Levi, but obviously can't afford him either. So we'd have to go with Max Hall in this case. And that doesn't look too bad for me. I don't mind it too much, it's not too bad a situation. I don't mind it. But the thing I don't like is now, because I have Whitfield out this round, I'm going to be fielding Trainer, Reed, Pryor, Patton. There's too much there. And with the expectation that Patton might get dropped after being the sub, I prefer this trade, which doesn't allow me to get Baz, unfortunately. So Hall still comes in, and we pick up SDK at, he managed the 109, which is, very impressive for his first game. And he rucked majority against Luke Jackson. So the fact that he was able to match it with Luke Jackson around the ground, because that's where SDK got his points, I think is quite impressive. So let's have a little dive into him and what he did well. So 82% CBAs, 41% ruck time, which is interesting. So we're going to give the shout out and plaudits here to the Skodfather, who had a little look and noticed Blitzarves did the rucking in the defense. Shannon Neal did the rucking in the forward line, and then SDK did the rucking in the middle of the ground. So I think that's an interesting way to go about it. But I guess what it does is, if there's a forward ruck, if there's a stoppage in the forward line and De Koning stays back, that gives him the opportunity to mark the ball. It's like almost like that Gorn role where Gorn would stay back in the midfield. Luke Jackson would take the forward ruck contests, and then De Koning would chop him off. So, and with it being in the middle of the ground, center bouncer tendencies, he's going to have those, he's going to be like, an extra midfielder. And that's kind of what he was doing. So 25 disposals, wasn't the best on the hitouts. We look at his strong games from last year, they weren't particularly high hitout games. So apart from against the Doggies, which you're versing Tim English, they weren't particularly high, in regards to the hitouts. So he's doing the role that, the role that I've got him in 95, he's doing that. So I'm content with that for now. It's not the best situation. Is he a keeper? Don't know. Probably not. But look, I'm content with it for now. We're gonna pull up AFL injury list quickly, because the concern for SDK would be who do they have? Conway, TBC. Now TBC means he's out forever in my eyes. Like not basically he's not going to be a concern. It's better news for Conway who joined the cat. Oh, okay. Look, I don't think they're going to rush the kid in, and if they do, then we're just going to have to cut. We're just going to have to cut. It's SDK. It is what it is. Hopefully he gets a few rounds and we can up his value a little bit. And then look, there's another mid-price option in defense that will be coming back in 2.5 weeks, and that's Callum Mills. So, if we get about 2, 3, 4 price rises out of SDK, he gets the 450, then we can bank the 150 on Callum Mills and then upgrade another player. It's not actually too bad. So that's kind of my thinking with him. This week in particular, he has the Saints, which should be an easy scoring opportunity for him because he might actually get some hit outs against Boyd. And the around the ground stuff, he'll dominate Boyd in that regard. So I don't see it as a too big a loss in regards to points on Baz, but this is what we're thinking. And then in setting up the team, I don't know who do we want. We need so we can loop an Essendon player with a trainer. Probably going to go with. To be honest, I don't know. Like pretty much you're picking Pryor or Reed, to be on the field, and then you're going to loop the other one. I think I'll loop Reed. I think. Let's have a quick look. What was? I think Pryor had a half decent fantasy score, which 50 Supercoach. $62 fantasy points. I think it was similar for Reed. So, with hopefully better efficiency from him, 63. So it's pretty much, it's going to be the same. Either way. So I think I'm just going to put Pryor. I think he has decent kicking and hopefully they put the ball in his hands a bit more. Look, he might even get dropped and then I'll go him to Hall instead and make that money for SDK. Or actually, you know what? Let's check something, right? Can I go Pryor? Let's say if Pryor's dropped, for example, Pryor and Sanders out. Can I afford Lindsay? No, I can't. Lindsay is a bit more expensive than that. Yeah, he's for wear, so we can't do that. That sort of scraps that. So either way, it's going to be for Hall. And look, the reason I'm thinking Hall instead of a guy who got the same score as him, Constanti, and I'm a big fan of Constanti, right, is purely just the forward mid eligibility. I think it becomes important at this part of the season because I would have Davidson, Stone, and Constanti all just forwards, you know what I mean? And so one of them would have to play per week, and I'm not really comfortable with that. So the versatility, I think, is important. We just go with Hall for that reason. Let's get those trades all fixed up again. So we're going to bring SDK and Sanders, who is a potato. We're getting Hall. Bang. Now, so this is where it sort of leaves us. Again, all this stuff we're going to do. So we'll be looping Reed and Trainer with Whitfield being on the bye. And here we're gonna start Kako because I think so. He's got a tough matchup against Adelaide, but I feel like he's one of those guys who's just gonna score. Right? I got that feeling he's a scorer, man. Davidson. So we're going to be looping Davidson and Hall. Is that dumb? Or should I be looping him and Kako? I can look. I guess I still have time to make the decision because Davidson plays first on the Friday, and then I can decide whether I'm looping between Hall and Kako. I don't know. There's options there. I can make that decision later down the line. That's how that ends up. Now, next week, what would the plan be? We have 4 forward rookies, which might be concerning. My thinking is I have. Let's bring up a notepad of round 2 trades, right? Who do we want in our round 2 trades? Now, players who a lot of people will be bringing in this week, as we can see, Smith, Lindsay, and Ashcroft. Now, I can't do it this week. And the reasons for it is I want to wait and see what I have in O'Sullivan and Sardis, because I don't want to just trade one of them out and then O'Sullivan all of a sudden pops a 110, right? Or Sardis pops a 110. I don't want to deal with that situation where I've got to trade them back. So that's what I'm doing. So again, the trade targets. So Lindsay, Levi, and Baz. Now, everyone's trading him in this week, and I think they should be, and you should get decent scores out of these guys. But what if one of them doesn't do so well? All of a sudden, I don't need to use a boost. You know, if Baz gets a 70 or 80, which I doubt, he's versing St Kilda, he's going to smash him. If he doesn't, right? If he doesn't, it's cool, right? I just don't have to trade him. Same with Levi, same with Lindsay. One of them pops a 50, all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'll just keep my guy in O'Sullivan or Sardis, and we'll see how it goes. But let's say I have to get all 3 of those guys. I don't have any cash, right? I've got 1.7K. How am I going to do it? One of Will Day, Chera, Ashcroft will need to go. You know, we get to see another round of Ashcroft here, who is versing West Coast this week and has a really good run of fixtures. Chera is moving to the defense apparently, and that could significantly affect his score. But maybe he does well in the defense. You know, just you don't know, right? And Will Day, you know, we have slight concerns with him. We'll get a price rise out of him this week. To be honest, I'm not overly concerned, but, you know, we got to figure out who's going to get traded. And then after that, because, say, an Ashcroft or Chera goes down to a Baz, right? So it gets a 60K, we could potentially go a Hewitt or Hasty or Camperelli, whoever gets dropped next week, you know, because, you know, chances are one of them might get dropped, or even Stone, right? Even Stone could get dropped. One of those goes up to Lindsay, and then one of Sardis or O'Sullivan, you know, whoever does worse or whoever, you know, shows worse job security, which it's Sardis. Sardis has worse job security. One of them will go into Levi, assuming Levi's doing well. So that's the plan for next week. All right. And you have to have a plan for next week in regards to your trades, because with these 2 weeks, you're setting up your team for the rest of the, you know, for the rest of the year. You know, you want cash gen, you want scoring. And this is the way I can figure out how to do it in my head. Thankfully, we're only using 1 boost in the 2 rounds, you know. But yeah, that's what we're thinking. Hopefully O'Sullivan and Sardis can go crazy this week, and, you know, all of a sudden I have a rookie that, you know, people are trading out, you know, and then we've got value on him. But look, I'm happy to wait a week on him. Whoa, people are trading out Horn Francis. I guess, you know, to get Baz, I guess, if you need to do it, you do it. But he's going to get 120 against Richmond probably, unless McIntosh runs with him, which is a chance. Now, this thing, ranked in top 1% trades, it hasn't been working. I want to see if it does, because it's interesting to me. Sorry, quick frappe there. It's not changing. It's trying to load, but it's not letting it. Internet is working again. Draftland D2 time. Oh, please, come on, man. Don't do this. Don't do this to me, man. There we go. So, what happened this week? We'll go to the game day for round 1. Now, the internet's back, but it's still slow. This is really annoying. Here we go. So, Adventure Tortoise versus Hellas FC. This is Don. That's brother of the pod. Sheridan's brother. Sorry, Dino's brother. Sheridan. this is his first year doing draft with us, and I think he's been a little bit hard done by, conned by Perryman, Sanders, Sardis, D'Ambrosio, I guess. I think D'Ambrosio would be a fine pick in the end, but that's, he's been conned. And he's come up against, a guy who's, he's getting ready for the three-peat already. Yeah, look, that's unfortunate for him, but, look, looking at the team, Green came in and gave us a 115, which was nice. We're still waiting on Young to come back. Zorko and McGovern did the biz. Well, not really. Mainly just Zorko. So the old man defense, shout out Zorko carrying the young man defense, the old man defense. And the young man in the defense, 109 from SDK. Very happy with him. I looped his score in from Ash. Steele needs to step it up. Wines, Jacos, Saligo, nice to see. He got 50% CBA, so hopefully he's going to be a really good pick. I've picked up Sidebottom and Nevitt this week to cover Hayden Young and Tom Green. So I had Ollie Hollands and O'Sullivan in those positions, and I'm like, we'll try Nevitt against the Saints, against a bad team. Hopefully he can take advantage and pull a solid 80 again. And Sidebottom got CBAs, so I don't know. Could be an astute pickup, or he could just go. He could be the sub this week. You don't know. Grundy, solid. Rankin, my boy. The forward line, I'm very happy with, man, because I think Ryan Myers, even though he just got the 70, his role running up the ground is very nice. So yeah, they're constantly looking for him to provide some creativity through his kicking. So it might seem a bit weird, but having Grundy and Briggs. But I've brought in Draper, who got the 103, for the reason that if we have a little look at the Drape show, in this game, so 36% CBAs, which is usually a bad thing. But for me, and looking at the heat map, forward line time, sharing the ruck duties with Nick Bryan, that's good for draft. So if he can, look, he's not going to get a 103 every week, but if he can manage to stay above the 75, 80 range and get the forward eligibility, all of a sudden I have 5. Get out of here. All of a sudden we have, 5. They wrecked my momentum there. We have 5 very solid forwards who we can, I can even loop between Draper and Graham and Myers and stuff like that. So I'm pretty happy with that. And this week, I'm going to be looping him with Grundy, which he'd need to get a 110, I think. Yeah, probably needs to get a 110 for me to or even a 1. Even 100. He gets 100, I'll loop him in, and Grundy, can sit on the bench. But yeah, and then actually the next week I can loop, because Grundy will be out, I can loop between him and Briggs. So that works out pretty well, pending that they're not versing each other. Essendon, there you go. Essendon Thursday. There we go. So yeah, pretty happy with draft. Before I finish off in draft, I just want to say who I have next week, and I'm pretty sure it's the league commissioner, Perry, Cursed FC. He has deconning, so that's quite a concern. And the rest of the team's pretty solid. He's got no one. Who does he have? He's got Ben King from the Gold Coast GWS buy. Basically, he's got a full strength side, is the way I see it. And I'm a little bit weakened, so I'm pulling the excuses already. But look, he has a pretty solid team. I do think mine's better, but shout out to Perry for organising the league and for handing over the money to me. Back to Classic. We're going to talk about just captains real quick. Now, we have a look at the draw. Tom DeConning is a nice, easy Thursday, get it out the way type deal. So I might do that. But the other options, Port Adelaide versus Richmond. Rosie could be a decent little VC option as well. And for captain, this is where it gets a little bit concerning. Let's have a look. What did Sherry get against Gorn last year? A 111, and a 90 the year before. So I don't feel comfortable captaining X. it'll probably have to be, like, if I'm to captain on a Sunday, it'd have to be Zorko against West Coast. And that's a little bit of a risk as well because we don't know what his role's going to be. So I'm in a little bit of a tough spot in that regard. It probably should just be a VC DeConning into Captain Connor Rosie. Yeah, so I think that's probably what I'm going to go with. I don't know, I might change my mind and just stuff it. We'll go Zorko. What did Zorko get against West Coast last year? He got a 93. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to go DeConning into Rosie. I think that's the best option. I think Rosie, so a 128 against Collingwood in an absolute just blowout, I think is pretty impressive, and a 113 against Richmond last year. But this year there's no butters. Let's have a look last year for Rosie. In that performance, how many CBAs did he get? Because I'm assuming his CBAs might have, I think they tanked a little bit. Was that 58% CBAs? And this time he got an extra 10. So he's probably going to average around that 68, 70 CBAs. So, look, I think he's a relatively safe captain option. I can't see him going below like a 110 or a 115. So that's solid, relatively safe. And the ceiling, we saw the ceiling in his preseason game, and we've seen it in seasons past that he can get a 140, 150. So I think it's pretty chill. I think we'll do that. But yeah, that's all I think for the video today. This video was meant to be recorded on the Monday, and my screen recording just didn't work, and I was very upset. So hopefully this one works, and it can be out for you on the Wednesday today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Good luck for your trades this week, and see you on the next one. Thank you.